Hi, I'm Chris O'Hara. I'm the Youth Services Coordinator for the Manatee County Public Library System, and today we're here at our Area 52 Makerspace. Area 52 is a makerspace designed for teens aged 12 to 18, and if you are a teenager here in Manatee County or elsewhere, you can come visit our makerspace, and we have all different kinds of things that you can work on, design, and build yourself, such as robotics, sewing. You can make your own videos and edit them, make your own music and edit it. So today, we're going to learn a little bit about the space by talking to some of the people who work here and also some of the young people who use the space. Yes, this is a permanent thing, a permanent makerspace. We hope to keep growing it on and on. And one big thing we want to do is we want to actually find out from the teens of Manatee County what they'd like to see in this space additionally, because a lot of our ideas come from suggestions that we get from young people throughout Manatee County. Our idea for the makerspace came from really large libraries around the country, such as Chicago Public Library, Orlando Public Library, Miami-Dade Public Library, that had makerspaces. Of course, they're very well-funded libraries, and we're able to afford a lot of equipment. But we've been able to find funding from some different sources and really be able to put some nice equipment in here that maybe teens wouldn't be able to find, obviously, have in their own home and maybe not even in their school. We've had a good turnout so far. We have several teens who like to come in, not only for programs, but we also have the space open for open hours. It's open every day here at the library from 3 p.m. right until whatever our closing time might be for that particular day. Well, the purpose of the space is really to allow the teens to explore their creativity. Like I said, that's basically why what you would call Area 52 is really a creative space. So teens can come in here, they can use the space for the equipment in the space for, as I said, any number of different artistic or science related explorations, and really anything that they want to use it for. And they can make suggestions, as I said, for other things that we could get in here. Well, we've had kids turn out things such as sewing projects. We make things on the 3D printer. We make parts for robotics. We've made robots to have robot competitions that we do here at the library. In addition, also, we have one of our young people working back there right now who's working on a music project. He does. We've had teens come in and make animation videos and regular videos in front of our green screen and be able to edit this music and video and on our computers here. Sure, because so much of what we have is science and technology related, what they call STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. Because of that, it's very useful for finding, future career opportunities or for training. Obviously, robotics is a big component of the future. We also run classes for computer coding, so kids can design their own programs, design their own computer games. For a kid interested in the arts field, like we said, video production or music production, we have equipment that they can use and software loaded up for those kinds of things as well.
So my name's Danny Bradley. I'm a librarian here at Area 52. I'm showing you our 3D printer today. We're working on a project right now to build these 3D printed hands. We're going to have a series of workshops where we'll have kids put together the hands, and then we're going to donate the hands to children in need after we're done with those. So there's an organization that'll take the 3D printed hands and they connect it to the children in need all over the world that need the hands, and that's why we chose the hands. And the 3D printer can print a lot of different projects. Kids can come in, design a custom cookie cutter, or make a board game from scratch. It's print out the pieces you need. It's printing a Star Wars TIE fighter right now. Yeah, so you'd be able to come in our computer lab, you would design your 3D file. You can use a lot of different software to create the file you want or download a file that already exists online. And then you'd be able to plug it into our 3D printer here, and we'd print out with PLA plastic filament. So in addition to printing out the parts to make a 3D hand, you really can print out whatever you imagine as a 3D object. You're only limited by the size of the machine. So any 3D object, you can print out model pieces. You can print out pieces for robotics. You can print out small set pieces for stop motion animation. Really anything that you're into that you need to take into the third dimension, you'd be able to print it with that. So it'll when you load in the design, it prints from bottom to top. It'll start with the lowest layer. You choose the density you want for your model. So depending on what you're doing with it, you'll want to decide how dense you need your model, and then it'll go layer by layer, and you can get down to a really fine detail as it prints. It does take a long time to print because it is going layer by layer, and depending on how detailed a model you want, it's going to take longer to print that. So the whole design process will be mostly done on the computer. You're going to sit down and figure out your model, design it the way you want, make sure there's no holes in it, no flaws, and then once you get it to this stage, it's all ready to go. It's ready to print, and you kind of just load it in there and let the machine take it from there.
We use Vex Robotics Kits. As you can see here, you get a wide array of parts. You can use metal parts to fully construct a robot and learn to program the brains to use the controller with it, drive it around, and complete whatever task you want. This robot, we actually 3D printed most of the parts for it. The body, some of the gears, and the battery holders are all 3D printed. This one is going to be primarily used to learn to program the robots on. Well, the robots have a USB port in them, and they can plug in directly to a computer. You load up the software, and it's kind of a blank slate. There's guides online on how to start, like what commands start building your robot, so you can program the different buttons on the controller to perform different tasks. Yeah, we bought these kits. They're called Vex Robotics Kits. They're really easy to assemble. They're durable metal parts. We bought these robot kits. They're called Vex Robotics Kits. They come with a lot of various metal parts and some gears and screws, nuts and bolts. And they give you guidance on one project on how to build a basic bot to get your bearings together. And after that, it's up to you, whatever you want to build. We give a bunch of challenges, and you build a robot to complete the challenge. Right here, we're looking at robot chassis parts.
It doesn't look much like a robot.
No, it doesn't look much like a robot now, but these are the big parts that you'll connect. You'll screw them together, and then you can start attaching wheels and stuff to them. Okay. You can start screwing them together and then attaching wheels and motors, and really get it going. You should have some sort of design, but sometimes it's let's throw something together and see if it works. Sometimes there's a very intricate design that's already pre-planned out. It's based on the team and what they think they're going to do and how they are going to accomplish a task. Sometimes it's a simpler task and they can just trial and error, and then sometimes it's complicated and they really got to think about it before they go ahead and put something together. So programming the robots, it's all based on what program you upload to the Cortex here, and it communicates with the controller, and it tells you the controller when you press a button, it's going to do this task. So by default, when you push the button, it will just activate a motor. But you can reprogram it to say, instead of just activating the motor when I press this button, lift a motor, turn a crane, drop a hand, and grab something all in one step instead of having to hit multiple buttons. On Saturdays, we alternate between a robot club and a code club. And so the robot club, they work on building these robots. Code club, we sometimes code the robots or work on a different coding project. But it's a lot of the same kids that come to both of them, so they can continue to work on their projects. One challenge is just to build a race car with a turning axle instead of just using two sets of wheels to turn. Make an actual whole vehicle axle like they have on a car and make it to turn and kind of race around the library. That's actually the current one going on. So right now I'm trying to achieve a wireless wireless connection between the robot and the brain. Once you get the wireless connection going, it works. Right now all I have set up are two motors, a left side and a right side, and you use the two joysticks on the remote control to get it to go. It's a little front heavy, it needs some more weight in the back.
Hey, my name is Demorian Frost. My music artist name is Daft. I've been working with GarageBand. it's a lot of stuff you can do with music with GarageBand. You can make they got Electro house samples you can use. They got tech house, R&B, modern R&B, hip, almost anything.
Okay, so let's go backwards a little bit. Tell us, what is GarageBand?
GarageBand is a program you can use to produce music. You could use it to make instrumentals if you want to. I was just working on something I was just seeing if I can mix up rock and hip hop, and it sounded pretty good. I was doing it and trying to put a melody with it to make it pop. Let's make pop music. Pop music has melodies, sorry. And it was pretty good. Well, I got involved. Well, I got involved with this program once I came to Area 52, this creative lab. That's my first. I seen what they had over here, and I was surprised and I was happy that day. Back then it was up in there, and I got on. And I just started like mixing stuff. Whenever I liked it, they loved it. It was sounding good. For listening to other instrumentals, sometimes they start off with just, for example, it's instrumental I looked up on G.com. It was this mixture of rock, rap, and pop. And I heard they start off with just like they start off with the pop and the rock, and then they brought the drums in, and I was just going off there. I learned from listening to other beats. They got synth, electro house synth. That's lead synth, but still synth. Synth layers. Big anthem synth. Reason why it sounds slowed down because the BPM is 92 right now, but if I speed it up, they'll speed up. Let's see, like right now, heard that sound slow at first, I listen to it now. It was kind of easy for me because I started working on Audio Tool. That's the other program. Used to work with a lot of different programs, Fruity Loops, Audio Tool, Magix, and I just learned from there and picked up. So once I got this, I just arranged and did the same thing. So it was pretty simple for me to pick up. Then all this other stuff I figured I gotta learn too, like BPM, what kind of song you make, and it depends a lot. Like you can do a lot with this program. And if you're trying to make a pop music, you gotta it depends. You gotta find a format to use. If you're trying to find it just depends. Make a rap song. They all got like these different things to them, and that's the other thing too. A lot of stuff to learn with. Create, build, and explore. That was Area 52 about, I guess. You can explore with the different music programs. You can do a lot of stuff here. I'll be in music, but they got other stuff you can do here, like videos, robots. Its place is awesome. Because I remember back then I used to listen to like these different like different songs and stuff, and I was wondering how they made it. And once I started Audio Tool, I was like, I'm finally making this own music. Like I'm doing this music stuff. It's amazing. I'm loving it. Like it's finally making my own music, and it started way back then. It makes me very excited because back then I was wondering how people make the music and stuff, do like the mix up genres, and now got the tools to see it and I can learn from it. And now I'm able to just mix up. I gained experience to do it better through the years, and it's just amazing. And I'm still learning. There's still stuff I'm unsure about, but I'm still learning. I get better producing music. It's just, it's like a journey. It's like a journey.
Well, there's not a lot of opportunity out in the community all the time to like do arts and crafts things, other maybe like a fair for it or something. And not everyone has access to it. When a library, you can just walk over here or take a bus or bike or however you get over here. It's close to a lot of neighborhoods, it's not far away or distant, and it's well known, and we always have advertisements for any events going on. So it's really comes in handy to the locals to come and participate. Sometimes, yeah, if I'm doing sewing, since it's a little bit more difficult to backtrack on that, I'll sit down and like sketch out an idea in my mind or just kind of write down like, or do a little doodle, that sort of thing, to decide like how big you need it and like how many pieces you need. But when it's something along the lines of like weaving or making pom-poms or something, I just kind of go for it and don't think too much about it, since it's really more like you learn what you're making while you're making it, sort of thing. There's a lot of opportunity here for being creative and like finding that creative side when you just don't have a lot of opportunities in, say, like high school or college, unless you're taking an arts class. And it's just kind of nice to get to do that, something like you can just kind of do to relax or just for fun. One of the positive things I've gotten out of Area 52 is learning more life skills, like how to use a sewing machine. I originally didn't really know how to operate a machine until I came here. Before I came here, I was interested in like crafts and hands-on things like sewing and weaving, but I just didn't have the opportunity or materials to do that. I was working on making a pom-pom, which the end result would look like this.
Okay.
And I just take a little piece of cardboard, circular, and you cut out a hole in the middle so you can weave it through. And I just take the yarn and I just weave it through until I have the entire cardboard circle covered in yarn, like on this side. so you can make a circular pom-pom. You see how we have the string here? And you fill it up and you weave through, like going through under the yarn up until you get to the end of the point, and then you sew it together and you make sure there's like an opening at the top right here, and you sew the bottom up. You make sure it's all tightly woven, and you'll have like a big bag. It's kind of hard to imagine it when you're first putting out the yarn and like making your lines that you have to weave through, but it really comes together once you are at least like halfway through the product. It's one of those sort of things that I would say it's more like you learn what you're making while you're doing it. It's kind of hard to just like get it picture perfect when you imagine it at first, but it's kind of difficult to when it comes to the whole trial and error process and starting with it. It's like hard to always imagine like what kind of size your product's going to be, or like how much yarn do I need for this. You just kind of, you gamble with it, you just guess and you go with it, and if it doesn't work you always could either like cut it if it's too much or tie on more if you need more. So it's, you're not totally in ruin if it isn't enough or too much of like materials to use. I like to kind of have my skills more widened when it comes to sewing and crafts and things that you can do by hand and make for yourself. Like I'd like to be able to make my own bag or wallet or shirt or something, even if you could.
Hi, my name is Gil, and I'm a rising senior at Southeast High School. And here at the makerspace at the library, I usually model stuff for the 3D printers. I use a software called SolidWorks, which is a 2D sketch-based CAD software, where you start off from basic vector or linear art. Area 52, well, there's a lot of the design process that we have to use here constantly. We have to design to certain constraints on the 3D printer because we can't just make what we want, because we have to work with what we have. There's also a lot of, not a lot of repetition, but we learn things in a way where we kind of get them into our head. This helped me get certified in SolidWorks, just coming here and working every day, making models and then 3D printing them out and seeing how it actually looks in your hands, and so you can like design based on it again. And this is just some part of it, because there's more stuff that I have to do. Like there's active renderings where I make a video of like an assembly exploding out with all the different pieces coming out and coming back in, and then I take it into Dreamweaver and After Effects to add transitions, effects, and stuff like that. I edited the images in Photoshop so they give it a little more pristine look, because SolidWorks doesn't have the greatest rendering engine. And overall, it is pretty fun to like make something, think of something, and then make it, and then actually physically holding it in your hand. It's very beneficial because a SolidWorks certification actually gives you some college credits, especially in the engineering departments, where some college courses make you get a SolidWorks certification. And since I already have one, I can technically already get the credit for that class. It also helps with drafting classes, since you also have to do manual drawings of these, and the program is really helpful when doing actual drawings on a 2D thing. So in case they don't have the program, you can just send them a drawing and they can make the product without you actually having to send them the model. Well, there's a lot of people here that are experienced that can help you. Like there's a staff member here that actually was really proficient in SolidWorks, and he helped me guide through the steps. He helped me study before I took my exam, and he was actually a really big help on why I really got into SolidWorks. I would suggest that they go for it, or at least try to learn it, because it's a really useful software. You can make from simple chairs to like complex cars. I've actually done a complex car before, and I gotta tell you, it might be a little hard, but after actually like making it, it is the best experience as you see it like go down a racetrack, watching it as it's going like 60 miles an hour in the blink of like 3 seconds. This is an awesome place. If you can, come down here. It's a great experience for everyone. We accept people of ages, most ages, or teenagers, and there's a lot of to learn here. I could teach you, me specifically, I can teach you some of the Adobe Suite programs, some SolidWorks. I know how to code a little. I know basic like mechanics and stuff, so if you want to build a tiny robot, I can help you build a tiny robot. We can model it, and then we can actually make it.
Well, we're at Area 52. We have a lot of cool stuff here. We do programming and sorts of stuff like music, robotics, and gaming.
Yeah, so around every other week we do like a little class where like a bunch of kids come in. We'll do HTML, C#, C++, anything really. Yeah. I mean, anybody can come in, and we just go from the very basics, and then we just work our way up through the 2 hours that we have.
Yeah, we do a lot of games. We also do websites and all that. We do basically the whole 10 yards. I actually created my website. I don't think it launched though, so. Okay. But they teach you how to do all that step by step. We have a really good teacher named Brian. Okay. Well, I have a big family, and I like to come here for peace and quiet and to have a little fun.
Yeah, it's just exploring different fields and becoming comfortable with things that I might do as a future job, Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we don't even have the school time to do that. So it's really important that we take some of our own time out of our own schedule just to.
We have a lot of stuff. We actually, he also did what do you call it? Like wiring. Well, what would you call it?
Which one?
Like when we built the make block.
Oh yeah. We were doing like an XY plotter, so it's something that we can take a design that we work on the computer. We write out the program for it, right, and then it just puts it into a real world situation. Like we can make a design on the computer and then have it drawn in real life. And then we have just all these tablets here that are running like the state-of-the-art programs like Unity, which is what I'm actually working on right now. We're finishing up the programming for a class. So.
And if you're a Minecraft lover, we do Minecraft survival games, and we hand out points, and whoever has the most points at the end of the year gets a prize. It's a lot of fun. I would highly recommend it, and it's just a great place to be.
I would just say that if there's something that you don't know if you know that well, if you're kind of afraid to join something, I would just jump in because you might find like a new passion of yours.
We have a 3D printer. I created something for my dad for Father's Day. I just spelled out his whole name with the Superman Batman symbol on top, and now it's just sticking in his mirror. It's really cool. Actually, they're making a fidget spinner right now, the outline.
Okay, yeah, right here we're just running like we're using Unity to make like a small scale video game, and we're just doing a little bit of programming into the system so that when the kids come in, they can just drag and drop the elements and just get the basics of game design. Looks like I can do a little bit with it. I don't know if it'll fully control or, yeah, it's not fully operational. We got the shooting down, but for moving, it's still in the works. Well, actually, we're using an asset system. So they're taking things that have been pre-designed and then they're putting it into the game. But they can actually, on their own time, they could write out their own programs. See, this is part of the same Unity system. It's using the Unity engine, and so if they're not they don't feel like the game's complete with what they've made, they can go back and they can elaborate on it. They can improve it through real coding. We're just giving them the basics that they need for the class. Right here, if I go to tank, right, we have the tank scripts. So this would tell us like the tank's health, and we would drag this onto the tank, and then the tank has a health system now. So if it gets like shot by any other tanks, it's good go. And then if we go up here to models.
Can you add more tanks?
Absolutely, yeah. You could.
Buildings or something like that, or obstacles?
Right. So we would just go to all models, and then we would get one of the buildings, and we just place it down.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if we wanted to have like another player, like another tank in there, we would just do the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah. And then these tanks, if we were to go into like prefabs, then they would have all the loaded features that the tanks should have in the end game, so the kids could like check back on it and make sure that they have the finished product.
Yes, we use this app called Subline Text 3, and I am actually trying to create another website. It's titled, you do type in head with arrows pointing away from it on either side, then put title with the arrow facing that way on the third one down. And I just titled it Dylan's website. I am doing it for my life story. I am going to be like writing all about my life and what all I've been through and trying to help others.
Right now I'm working on a Vex IQ robot, putting it together. And it's one of the robots we use in our robot club. And it's just basically following the instructions. All the manuals are online, and you just go online, and there's many different builds. You can just download the builds, and they're all here for you to, and you just go step by step. Well, the educational benefit is it takes time and patience. I mean, it's not something you're going to do in a day, and it's not something you're going to get right the first time. So it teaches you to be persistent and to stick with something, because it takes a while to get it to do what you want it to do. For some kids, it's just they really love to do it, and every time I'm sitting at the desk doing it, they ask me, are those Legos? So they think it's Legos, so that gets them involved too. But then I start explaining, no, it's a little bit more complex than Legos, because there's a lot of small, very tedious pieces that you have to use. And the other benefit is it's teaching them engineering, because they have to learn to read plans. I mean, you can't just sit down and build a robot. You got to look at the specs and build it from the specs. So it's teaching them skills that an engineer needs too. Well, we are doing it because it offers kids that don't have the stuff at home an opportunity to come to the library and learn about computer programming. You learn about engineering, you learn how to read specs, you learn about science, and it's for the kids that don't have the stuff at home. And it's all free, so they can come in here anytime the room is open and just learn things, create things, become inventive. I mean, it's just something that's really popular right now, and it's something that they're going to need in the future, because it's a whole different society that we're coming up with, and you got to be more creative. Well, it promotes collaboration, because on the classes we teach, we have the kids work together. Like I just taught a class on game design using Scratch programming, and all the kids, they were working individually, but they were hearing what other people were doing, and they were like, well, hey, I like his icon, let me use his icon. No, this one works better. And they were sharing their ideas, even though they were working on individual computers. They were going back and forth, just like if you're in a company and you're sitting around a table and you're going back and forth and throwing out ideas. They were doing that. And innovation, they get to create their own game. I mean, this is their product. And the class that I taught was from Google Computer Science First, and they sent all the materials there. So all they had to do was start it here, and then they can go home and keep doing it and keep getting better at it and getting better at it. And that's a free, just like Code Academy and Coding Club and Scratch Programming and the Google Computer First, they're all free programs, and if you have a computer at home, you can keep going on and doing what we taught you here. We're just the beginning. Well, you look at the technology now, the coding and computer science technology, it's a blink of an eye. I mean, one day something like an iPhone, take the iPhone example, when it first came out, I think it's 20 years or 10 years ago or something like that, it was just a simple phone, and just look at what it can do in just that small span of time. But then you take something like flight, and you see how long it took them to learn flight. I mean, there was not something instantaneous. It wasn't 10 or 20 years. It was a long span of time. And now things are just so instantaneously that they've got to learn this stuff. Because, I mean, you look at your cars. I mean, your cars, everything runs off computers in your cars. There's Wi-Fi in your cars. So the cars that they're going to be driving, they're going to need to know how it works.
Or not driving.
Or not driving, yeah. Yeah, that's true, too. There's going to be driverless cars. So, yeah. So it's just something that they're going to have to learn or they're going to be left behind. Well, the library role is that it's open for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. The program will always be here for free, and it's a kicking off place for them to come in and just start learning this technology. I mean, we don't have everything here, but we do have stuff that kids can get, they can learn from, because it's just that we don't just, it's something they don't have, like a 3D printer. 3D printer has not come down in price yet. I mean, they're still between $2,500 and $4,500, so not everyone has one at home. But you can come to the library and use it for free. Yeah, a lot easier to adapt, and then you won't be left behind. You won't be, when they, like you were saying, they're coding in first grade. By the time they get to middle school, they will be out with the same kids who have this stuff in their homes, but they can come to the library and learn it.